Okay, so here we are. My friend Ashley Hemmings, the animation graphic artist for Doktar Shmoy, with short stories from Egos and Assholes. You know, first I would just I want my listening audience out there, whether this goes on YouTube or other places for exposure, to know how Doktar Shmoy even came about. And I want to say this from my heart. If anybody happens to spell their name that way or pronounce their name that way, by all means, this is not meant to be offensive to hurt anybody out there. Doktar Shmoy simply came about several years ago. I was shooting a game of pool. I was on the 8 ball. I missed that stinking 8 ball. I had an anxiety attack. And when the words came out, the expression came out like Shmoy. Oh, I spelled it at home. And for years I was using the word Shmoy in its past tense, Shmoyed out, Shmoy Lee, Shmoy full. I mean, even in a song by, like Three Dog Night, changed the word from joy to the world to Shmoy to the world. It just was endless. And it wasn't until recent times that I Googled it up and I found out there was pages on Doktar Shmoy. Well, the egos and assholes, where did that come from? For years I've been I pushed to write an autobiography, and I found out I just wasn't a literary genius. And I was encouraged and animated that the autobiography with short stories from egos and assholes should really be done in the form of a podcast. Now, you might think that's a little rough having a title, Egos and Assholes, but let me say this. You try to survive in this world without having both an ego and an asshole, and see if you don't get jammed up someplace. In the stories that will follow, making political satires, religious satires, and every experience in my life in the dialogues, whether it was with a psychiatrist, an attorney, a judge, or just Joe Schmuck going down the street, you will see the satirical light and how I qualify to be that ego or that asshole. You decide. Nevertheless, there will be short stories from egos and assholes. And one of the things I wanted to share on this prototype, just to get out there, I wanted to speak a little bit on the economy, because I know most of you are concerned about that. And I want to tell you, you don't have to worry about the economy any longer. You see, it's going to be just like the Civil War. When the Civil War ended, there were many people in the Confederate States that were extremely, extremely wealthy. Well, they woke up one morning to find out that their currency, their paper, had just expired worthlessly. And the government sort of like gave them, maybe 10, 20 cents on the dollar, whatever they thought they needed to live on. Well, we're about to cross that bridge again, because we're all going to wake up one morning and find out that the U.S. currency has just expired worthlessly. However, we have good news and bad news for everybody. You see, they're going to have the Amero, and what's going to happen there is that the government's going to say, bring your all old expired U.S. currency, and we're going to exchange it for you equally for the Amero. And simultaneously, we're going to do an audit on each and every one of you to make sure that you paid your fair share on those taxes. Now, isn't that a real Shmoy? Hey. Stay tuned